What is going on, everyone? My name is Aaron, and welcome to the very first installment of My Thoughts Monday. My Thoughts Monday is going to be a brand new series I'm starting. What it is it's going to be a culmination of life advice I've gathered throughout my life, whether it's from my father, who I really respect, or things I've learned at work, and things I just want to pass on to you all. Mainly, it's geared at young men and young women in order to improve their lives. This is advice that I wish I would have gotten a lot earlier in my life. Some of it is advice that I got earlier in my life, but I just didn't implement. So I kind of want to pass on these things to you. My Thought Mondays, we're going to cover a broad array of topics. So today we're going to be talking about how to get promoted at your job, which applies to a lot of people. Other things we'll be talking about is like censorship on the internet, and we'll even go into things like drug addiction. So stay tuned for those things to come. I'll release one of these every Monday, but let's get into the first topic today, which is how to get promoted at your job. Getting promoted at your job is something that basically everyone wants to do. There are a few exceptions. Those exceptions involve people who know that when they go to the next role in their job, that they're going to have to travel more. Maybe they'll miss out on time with family or miss out on things they really enjoy doing. So I definitely understand those things. Other than that, if you're a young man or young woman, you don't have a family, or you don't have things that you really enjoy doing, hobbies you're super serious about, I 100% recommend always going for the next step up. Always trying to better yourself, and always trying to make more money at your job. So I'm going to help you guys do that today. There are three main factors when you're trying to get promoted at your job. The first factor, well, I'll go through all three of them first, and then we'll cover them more in depth. So number one is going to be being the best you can be at your job. Number two is going to be improving your teammates and improving your team around you. And number three is going to be articulating your thoughts. So obviously number one, we're going to start off with that one. That one's the most important. When you go to work, what mentality do you have? Do you have the mentality of, oh man, another day at work, don't want to be here, don't care, can't wait to punch out? Or do you have the mentality of, hey, I'm going to be here regardless, I need the money, I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can while I'm at this job? If it was the first answer, you're doing it all wrong. I used to have the exact same mentality. I worked for the same corporation for a little while. There was a period of time in there where I did not give a crap about my job. I was barely hanging on to it by a thread just because I knew the policies by the front and back of my hand, and I knew I wouldn't get fired for what I was doing. Totally wrong way to go about it. I wasted probably 4 to 5 years of my life doing this. Now, it ended up being a blessing because I met my wife in the role that I was in. So everything happens for a reason, in my opinion. But with that being said, I don't want you guys to fall into the same trap. So when you first start a new job, your main goal should be to work as hard as you possibly can to understand that role. The first 6 months of your new job, you should only be focused on how can you improve yourself at this job. Work with your immediate supervisor, work hand in hand for them to help you shore up your weaknesses. If your immediate supervisor doesn't really seem interested, find a mentor within the company that's above you in terms of role. That's going to do two things for you. So that's going to help you network, and that's also going to help you when the promotion comes up, when the interview comes up, they might even be able to put in a good word for you. So that's going to do those two things for you. So work as hard as you possibly can in the first 6 months. At 6 to 12 months, when you feel like you have a pretty good grasp on the job and you feel like you pulled up your weaknesses, then we move on to step two. Step two is going to be bettering your peers. When you're applying for the next position up above what you have now, they do not care how good of a person you were at the job. If they're a good leader, they don't care. What they want to know is how are you going to help them and how are you going to help the team around you. So you want to start doing that while you're in the position you're in now. So what that involves you coaching your peers, but in order for you to coach your peers, a couple things need to happen first. So number one, you need to be pretty good at your job. Because if you are not good at your job and you are trying to coach their peers, you are wasting their time and you are going to make them aggravated. And they should rightfully be aggravated. Because if there's a goal that you have and you're not hitting your goal, but you're coaching them on how to hit their goal, why would they listen to you? Again, that's a giant waste of everyone's time. So in order to be able to coach someone, you first have to be able to hit your goal. Second, you need to work with your immediate supervisor. The reason you need to work with your immediate supervisor is because you don't want to step on toes, and you need to make sure that you guys are having the same message. You need to make sure that you guys are on the same page. So get with your immediate supervisor, help them create a game plan to make your team around you better, I recommend the 30, 60, 90 approach. And simply what that is setting goals, and that is setting how you're going to get to your goals in 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. So I would recommend that approach. Show your supervisor that not only are you a hard worker, but you're also able to improve the team around you. Once you start to see results, the most important thing is to document those results. Write down what you're going to do to get there, write down your game plan, and write down the results. If you don't write down the results, you'll most likely forget them, and when you go to the interview process, it'll be all for nothing, basically. So be sure to write down your results. Remember that. And that leads us to step 3. So now that you've done your best at work, you're a great worker. When the boss asks you to do something, you do it. Now, that doesn't mean that if you have a boss that's disrespecting you, that you let them disrespect you. That's not what that means. When you go to work, anything your boss asks you to do in a work aspect of it, you should do it. You should give it your best effort. If you feel they're disrespecting you as a person, that's a whole different conversation. That's something we'll probably cover in another video. But if you feel like they're disrespecting you as a person, that's a conversation you need to have and tread very lightly while you do that. But again, I'm not asking you to let them take advantage of you. I'm asking you to respect your boss because they put in time and they have that title. So I'm asking you to respect them and do what they have to say and give it your best effort. So now that we've covered that, again, we need to be able to, the step 3 is articulate our thoughts, right? So you can be the best worker. You can have improved your team more than anybody else ever has. But when you go in that interview and you can't articulate your thoughts, that's a huge miss for you. So, and we'll cover a little bit more into interview later and how to approach the interview. That'll be another My Thoughts Monday that I do. But you have to be able to articulate your thoughts. You cannot articulate your thoughts if you have not written down what your game plan was and how you executed it. Because when you go in the meeting, what you're going to say to them basically is that I'm a hard worker. This is what I do at work. I outwork everybody. You're going to say to them, I make my peers better, and here's exactly how I made my peers better. And then you're going to say, moving forward, when I get this position, this is exactly what I'm going to do to make my team better. So that's basically the 3 steps, guys. Post in the comments if you think that this will help you at your job, or if you think you want to take this advice moving forward. Again, the key aspect though, and this is so hard, it was so hard for me for such a long time, is giving it your best effort while you're at work. You're going to be at work regardless, okay? You're going to be there regardless. I know sometimes it's tough, but change your mentality, change your outlook, and it's going to benefit you guys so much. So just remember the 3 steps. Become the best worker you can be, improve your team, and be able to articulate that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Stay tuned for more My Thoughts Mondays in the future. Thanks, guys.